In the barren lands of the Old West, a young ranch girl was framed for stealing a priceless necklace and sentenced to hang for a crime she never committed. But just before dawn, one man rode out of the desert to uncover the truth, and what he found shocked the whole territory. Watch till the end to uncover the full story, partner. Tell us where in the world you're watching from, and if these Western tales make your day a little better, subscribe now. Your support keeps them coming.
The sun was a malevolent, blinding coin sinking over the desolate plains of the barren lands, casting long, skeletal shadows across the sprawling Vulture Peak Ranch. The ranch was the domain of William, a man whose face was a roadmap of sun-scorched leather and quiet disappointment, and his wife Emma, a woman whose social ambitions burned brighter than any kerosene lamp in their parlor. The hired help, a slight girl named Nora, moved through the massive ranch house with the silent efficiency of someone accustomed to being invisible. She was barely 18, carrying the weight of a difficult life with a quiet grace that William, who was childless and aging, admired fiercely. He saw in her the daughter he never had, often speaking to her with an affection that was a balm to her weary soul, but a corrosive acid to Emma's. Emma did not harbor a simple dislike for Nora. She held a deep, poisonous resentment. Nora was everything Emma was not: naturally humble, effortlessly empathetic, and most damningly the quiet focus of William's waning paternal love. Emma felt like an outsider in her own marriage, her position constantly undercut by the shadow of the young woman who worked the kitchens and swept the floors. Her obsession focused on a single object, the Star of San Carlos, a priceless diamond and opal necklace, a family heirloom passed down through William's lineage. It was a symbol of her elevated status, and she guarded it like a queen defending a crown. One scorching Tuesday, when William was away negotiating a cattle deal in the distant settlement of Dry Creek, Emma decided to end the intrusion. The house was silent, heavy with the afternoon heat. Emma went to her dressing table, pulled the magnificent glittering necklace from its silk-lined box, and felt a strange mixture of triumph and dread. She slipped out the back door, her elaborate skirt rustling against the dusty planks of the porch, and walked to the farthest edge of the manicured yard, where the harsh scrubland began. Using a small gardening trowel, she dug a shallow grave near an ancient, gnarled mesquite tree. The dirt swallowed the Star of San Carlos, and Emma smoothed the disturbed earth with the toe of her boot, leaving only the faintest impression of her deceit. When William returned late that evening, smelling of saddle leather and wood smoke, Emma was waiting, her face a carefully constructed mask of hysteria and despair. "It's gone, William!" she gasped, collapsing onto the velvet sofa. "The star! It's been stolen!" William dropped his saddlebags onto the floor. Weariness instantly turned to alarm. "Stolen? Emma, impossible. We keep that safe. I tell you, it is gone. I went to check on it just now, and the box was empty. I know who did it, William. I know." Her eyes, wet with crocodile tears, darted to the kitchen, where Nora was clearing the dinner remnants. William followed her gaze, his brow furrowing. "Nora, that's absurd. She has nothing but the clothes on her back. Why would she risk her entire life for a trinket she couldn't fence within 100 miles? A trinket? It's half your inheritance. And she is capable," Emma insisted, her voice hardening. "She watches me. She knows its worth. I searched everywhere. I looked in my armoire, under the floorboards, every place a thief might hide it. It's simply not here, William. That girl stole it." William ran a hand across his tired face, his deep sense of justice warred with a desperate self-preserving need to believe his wife. "No, Emma. It's here. It must be here. You must have misplaced it. Search again, please." "I have searched. Don't you believe your own wife?" Emma shouted, her performance reaching a crescendo. In that moment William hesitated. His love for Nora was unspoken, ethereal. His bond with Emma was legal, heavy and immediate. The lack of their own child had driven a wedge, and Emma used that void as a weapon. That wedge, that moment of doubt, was all Emma needed. She left William staring at the fire, a defeated man, and rode into the county seat, Rattlesnake Gulch, the very next day. Her first stop was the office of Judge Harlan, a man whose judicial robes covered a heart as dry and dusty as the land outside. She laid a heavy leather pouch, filled with minted gold coins, onto his desk. "Judge," Emma purred, leaning close, "I need a certain piece of trash removed from my household. A theft charge. The matter must be closed quickly, before my husband can complicate things." Tarlin's eyes flickered to the gold, then back to Emma. "Accusations of capital theft are serious, Mrs. William. This young woman, she could face the noose." Emma's expression remained perfectly cold. "Then you shall ensure the verdict is correct. The gold is for your thoroughness, Judge. I require a swift, unshakable conviction." "Consider it done, madam," Harlan replied, his voice a low, greasy drawl as he tucked the pouch away. "Justice in the barren lands often requires lubrication." Next, she visited Sheriff Brody. Brody was a cynical man, overburdened by the lawlessness of the frontier and always short on county funds. Emma repeated her accusation, then offered him a smaller yet substantial bribe to expedite the arrest and suppress any messy investigation. A runaway girl, a piece of jewelry, and a speedy conviction, Brody mused, looking out at the dusty street. "That sounds like less paperwork than tracking a horse thief, Mrs. William. Consider your thief apprehended." The arrest was brutal. Nora was seized from the Vulture Peak kitchen, terrified and confused, her quiet dignity shattered by the rough hands of the deputies. William arrived home only moments after the wagon had pulled away, finding the house empty and Emma sitting calmly, already composing a letter to their social circle about the betrayal. The trial was a sham. Judge Harlan presided with an air of practiced indifference. Emma gave an impassioned, fabricated testimony, detailing Nora's alleged greed and opportunity. There was no physical evidence. Brody hadn't looked for any. Nora stood before the court pale and shaking, unable to articulate a defense against such overwhelming moneyed malice. The sentence fell like a thunderclap in the oppressive courtroom heat. Hanging. The pronouncement sent Nora's mother Alara into a paroxysm of grief. She had traveled 3 days on foot to see her daughter, only to witness her condemnation. The execution was set for dawn in 3 days. In her desperate, crushing despair, Alara thought of one man. Sam was an enigma of the barren lands. He lived in an unassuming cabin far from any established settlement, tending a few head of cattle. He was a man of 40, with eyes that seemed to hold both the distant calm of the mountains and the sharp focus of a hawk. He was a former highly decorated U.S. Marshal known in his past life for his razor-sharp intellect and unwavering moral compass, skills he now tried to bury under the anonymity of a rancher's life after a professional tragedy. Yet, word had spread among the poor and the marginalized. If true justice was denied, Sam would find it. He helped the innocent not out of charity, but out of a deeply rooted need to balance a scale he felt he had once tipped himself. Alara found him late that night, banging on his remote cabin door, sobbing her tale of malice and injustice. "My daughter Nora Marshall," she pleaded, using his forgotten title. "She's innocent." Emma framed her. "It's that necklace. They're going to hang her for a crime she didn't commit." Sam listened, silent and unmoving, letting the woman's raw emotion wash over him. He watched her eyes, the genuine despair of a mother, not the rehearsed performance of a liar. "Tell me everything you know from the moment Emma and William hired her," Sam instructed, his voice low and steady, a sound that instantly calmed Alara's racing heart. When she finished, Sam stood, pulling on a heavy duster coat. "Go back to Rattlesnake Gulch, Alara. Find your daughter. Tell her to hold fast. Tell her the barren lands haven't yet run out of men who know right from wrong. I will handle the situation." Sam didn't ride to the ranch immediately. He spent a day tracking Emma's recent movements, confirming her trips to the county seat. Then he rode directly to the Vulture Peak Ranch.
He found William alone in the stables, tightening a cinch, looking 10 years older than the day before. William had chosen his wife over his conscience, and the weight of that choice was crushing him. "Sam?" William acknowledged, his voice hollow. "William, I hear you've had a spot of trouble," Sam said, dismounting slowly. "A lost necklace, and a girl sentenced to swing for it." "Emma is convinced," William mumbled, avoiding Sam's gaze. I haven't been myself lately. My judgment is cloudy. If Emma says it's Nora, perhaps it is." "You don't believe that, William," Sam countered, his gaze unwavering. "Your wife has a flair for the dramatic and a reputation for being financially demanding. Nora has a reputation for being honest. Which reputation carries more weight in a court of law, and which one in your heart?" William didn't answer. Sam knew he had hit his mark. The man was paralyzed by guilt and marital obligation. Sam left the stables and walked toward the ranch house. Emma intercepted him on the back porch, her expression hostile. "You're trespassing, Sam. What do you want?" "The necklace, Emma," Sam replied simply. "Tell me where you hid it, and we can stop this execution." She laughed, a thin, brittle sound. "Are you deaf? I told the sheriff and the judge Nora stole it. I haven't seen it since." Sam's eyes swept over the small backyard garden, noticing the contrast between the neatly trimmed roses and the wild, untamed scrub just beyond. He observed the freshly turned soil near the mesquite tree, soil that looked oddly dark compared to the surrounding parched earth. "I believe you, Emma," Sam said, moving closer to the tree. "I believe you haven't seen it since you put it in the ground." He knelt, reaching into his pocket for a thin metal poker, a tool of his trade. He pushed it gently into the soil. Emma went rigid. "Get away from there! That's my grandmother's rose garden. You have no right." "It's not the roses I'm interested in, Emma. It's what you planted." Sam ignored her, pushing the poker down until it met resistance. He carefully pulled the poker back up. Stuck to the tip was a fragment of blue silk, stained with dirt. The same silk lining the case Emma kept the star in. Sam stood up, tucking the evidence away. He said nothing more to Emma, merely giving her a look of profound pity and disgust before riding away, straight for Rattlesnake Gulch. He now had the location, if not the necklace itself. The following morning, the town square of Rattlesnake Gulch was a morbid spectacle. The gallows stood tall and stark, and a small, eager crowd had gathered. Nora was being led out, shackled, her face pale but her eyes clear, accepting her fate with a quiet stoicism that belied her terror. Just as the executioner adjusted the rope, a distant cloud of dust appeared, rapidly approaching. Sam thundered into the square, stopping his horse directly beneath the gallows, forcing the proceedings to halt. Judge Harlan, already seated nearby, was furious. "Sam, you trespass on county justice. You have no standing here." Sam dismounted slowly, his attention fixed on the judge. "I'm here about the evidence, Judge, or the lack of it. Before you execute a woman, tell me, on what concrete proof was she convicted of capital theft? Was the necklace found on her person? Was it in her belongings? Did the sheriff present a single witness to the act?" Harlan sputtered, clutching his bribe money in his pocket. "She was caught, red-handed. She confessed. The complainant was convincing. She is a vagrant, a known element of instability." "She confessed nothing," Sam corrected, his voice dangerously soft. "And convincing is not evidence. You rushed this trial, Judge, because Emma William paid you for a verdict, not for justice. And that makes you as guilty as any thief." The crowd began to murmur. Sam turned to Sheriff Brody. "Sheriff, you signed the warrant. Did you conduct a full search of the ranch house and grounds, as required by law?" Brody shifted his weight, unable to meet Sam's eyes. We checked the obvious spots." "I'm going to make you check the non-obvious ones," Sam declared. He took the judge and the sheriff firmly by the arm, addressing the stunned townsfolk. "You want to see justice served? Then follow me to the Vulture Peak Ranch. We're going to find the Star of San Carlos, and we're going to find the real thief." The procession rode back to the ranch. Sam, Nora, now guarded by William, who had arrived, his face a picture of shame, the terrified judge and sheriff, and a growing column of townsfolk eager for the drama. Sam led them straight to the mesquite tree in the backyard. "Judge Harlan," Sam ordered, his voice booming across the silent ranch. You are the highest authority here. Order your deputies to dig right here, under this tree. 3 feet down. No more."
Harlan, sweating profusely, reluctantly gave the command. The deputies began to shovel the earth. Emma rushed forward, screaming, "Stop! That's private property. You have no right to desecrate my yard." William held his wife back, his grasp firm for the first time in years. "Silence, Emma. Let them dig." The silence of the crowd was palpable, broken only by the scrape of shovels against dirt. Then, a deputy gasped. He bent down and pulled up a handful of earth, brushing off a brilliant flash of color, the unmistakable shimmer of the Star of San Carlos. The enormous necklace, buried in the dirt, was held up for all to see. The gasp that swept through the crowd was louder than the judge's frantic denial. Emma let out a strangled cry, her carefully constructed facade crumbling into hysterical sobs. "That's the evidence, Judge," Sam said, walking over and taking the necklace, his eyes never leaving Harlan's. "The evidence you didn't look for, the evidence you accepted a bribe to ignore, and the evidence that proves Nora's innocence." Justice, crude and swift, followed. Sheriff Brody, exposed as a mercenary, was immediately stripped of his badge. Judge Harlan was publicly accused of judicial corruption and bribery. The gold coins Emma had given him later found concealed in his desk. Both men were shackled and taken to the jail they had so readily sentenced Nora to. Emma, utterly defeated, offered no resistance as she was led away in handcuffs, her screams echoing across the barren lands. William stood watching, his head bowed, the shame of his silence and inaction, an insurmountable wall between himself and the woman he had sworn to protect. Sam walked over to Nora, who was free of her shackles, her mother hugging her fiercely. "You're safe now, Nora," Sam said, offering a small, tired smile. Nora looked up at the grizzled rancher, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Thank you, Sam. How could I ever repay you?" Sam simply shook his head, his gaze drifting over the ranch. "You don't owe me anything, Nora. The only repayment I ever need is seeing the right kind of people still breathing the good air. Now go home with your mother." The Vulture Peak Ranch just got a whole lot smaller, and a whole lot colder, but you're free of its shadow. He gave the necklace back to William, not as a prize, but as a silent damning symbol of his failure, before mounting his horse and riding back toward the anonymity of the Dry Creek territory. The silence and the setting sun his only companions. Justice, for now, had been served.
If you enjoy our Western stories, consider subscribing. It really helps us keep creating more for you.